Imagine walking through a desolate, frozen valley in Norway, the kind of place where the silence is so heavy it feels like a physical weight on your shoulders. It is November 29th, 1970. A university professor and his two young daughters are hiking through the Isdal Valley, a place known to locals as Death Valley because of its history of suicides and accidents. Suddenly, they stumble upon something that will haunt their nightmares for decades. Tucked away among the scree and the boulders is the charred body of a woman. She is sprawled out, her skin blackened by fire, surrounded by an array of bizarre objects that look like they belong in a spy thriller rather than a hiking trail. This was the beginning of the mystery of the Isdal Woman, a case that remains one of the most baffling cold cases in modern history. Who was she? Why was she there? And what secret life was she hiding from the world? To understand the magnitude of this mystery, we have to look at the scene itself. The body was found in a remote area, yet she wasn't dressed for a hike. Near her were two plastic bottles that smelled of gasoline, a silver spoon with its monogram filed off, and a collection of pills scattered around her. But the most chilling detail, every single label on her clothing had been meticulously cut away. No brand names, no sizes, no country of origin. It was as if someone had gone to extreme lengths to ensure she could never be identified. The police in Bergen were immediately on the case, but the more they looked, the stranger it became. An autopsy revealed that she had died from a combination of carbon monoxide poisoning and an overdose of sleeping pills, but she had also been burned alive. There were traces of gasoline underneath her body, suggesting she was sitting up when the fire started. Was it suicide, or was it a cold-blooded execution? The investigation soon led to the Bergen railway station, where two suitcases were found in a luggage locker. These suitcases belonged to the mystery woman, and what was inside only deepened the intrigue. Inside, investigators found more clothing with the labels removed, several wigs, and a collection of spectacles with non-prescription lenses. This woman was changing her appearance, masking her identity at every turn. They also found various currencies from across Europe, including British, French, West German, and Swiss money. But the smoking gun was a small black notebook filled with cryptic codes. At first, it looked like gibberish, but a brilliant detective eventually cracked the code. It wasn't a secret message for a handler. It was a travel log. The codes represented dates and locations. For example, 22 meant October 22nd in Norway. Using this diary, police were able to trace her movements across Europe, and what they found was a woman living a life of shadows. She had traveled under at least 8 different aliases, using forged passports from multiple countries. She was Genevieve Lancier in one city, Claudia Tilt in another, and Elizabeth Lienhauer in a third. She checked into hotels across Norway and Europe, always changing her name and always acting suspicious. Hotel staff remembered her as a woman who was constantly on guard. She spoke several languages, including German, French, Flemish, and English, but always with an accent that was hard to place. She often requested rooms with a view of the street, and she was seen moving furniture around to block the door or the view from the window. In one hotel, she was seen wearing a wig and dark glasses even while eating dinner. She was clearly a woman on the run, or perhaps a woman on a mission. The timing of her travels is perhaps the most significant clue of all. This was the height of the Cold War, and Norway was a strategic location for NATO. During the exact weeks the Isdal Woman was traveling through the Norwegian fjords, the military was conducting top-secret tests of the Penguin missile. Some witnesses reported seeing a woman matching her description, observing the missile tests from a distance. Was she a spy? A courier for a foreign intelligence agency? The theory of espionage is the most popular explanation for her secret life. In the 1970s, the world was a chessboard of spies and double agents. If she was a spy, it would explain the multiple identities, the wigs, the coded diary, and the removal of labels from her clothes. It was standard operating procedure for agents to scrub their identities in case they were captured or killed. But if she was a spy, who was she working for? Some think she was a Soviet agent, sent to gather intelligence on Western military technology. Others believe she might have been working for Israel, or perhaps even a private organization involved in high-end smuggling or fraud. However, the spy theory has its holes. If she was a professional, why did she leave behind so many clues? Why leave the suitcases in a public locker? Why keep a diary at all? Some investigators believe her death was not a professional hit, but a tragic end to a woman who was mentally crumbling under the pressure of her secret life. Yet, the forensic evidence suggests something more sinister. Decades after her death, modern science has finally begun to provide some answers. In 2016, Norwegian journalists and forensic experts decided to reopen the case using technology that didn't exist in 1970. They performed isotope analysis on her teeth. This process measures the chemical signatures left by the water and food a person consumes during their childhood. The results were groundbreaking. The analysis showed that the Isdal Woman was likely born around 1930 in the border region between France and Germany, specifically near Nuremberg. As she grew older, she moved further west, possibly into France or Belgium. This explains her fluency in multiple languages and her ease in navigating different European cultures. But even with this knowledge, her name remains a mystery. No one in those regions ever reported her missing. It is as if she simply vanished from the face of the earth before reappearing in Norway as a ghost. There is another, darker theory that has emerged in recent years. Some believe the Isdal Woman was part of a Nazi hunting group, or perhaps a survivor of the war looking for someone. This would explain her obsession with secrecy and her movements through specific parts of Europe. Others suggest she was involved in a high-stakes scam involving international art or gold. But none of these theories explain the final, lonely moments in Death Valley. A hiker actually came forward years later and claimed he saw her just days before she died. He described a woman dressed in elegant but impractical clothing for the mountains. He said she looked terrified, as if she wanted to say something to him, but she was followed by two men in dark coats who seemed to be monitoring her every move. When he heard about the discovery of the body, he went to the police, but they allegedly told him to forget what he saw. This suggests a potential cover-up by the authorities, perhaps to avoid a diplomatic incident during the delicate Cold War era. The Isdal Woman was buried in a nameless grave in Bergen. The police kept her belongings in storage for decades, hoping that one day someone would come forward to claim her. But no one ever did. She remains a symbol of the ultimate secret life, a woman who lived in the shadows and died in the fire, leaving behind a puzzle that we may never truly solve. Her story is a reminder that even in a world of surveillance and records, it is possible for a person to completely erase themselves, to become a shadow in the mist. As we look back at the evidence, the coded notes, the wigs, and the missing labels, we have to wonder, was she a victim of her own secrets, or was she a player in a game so large that her life was simply collateral damage? The Valley of Isdalen still holds its silence, and the woman who died there continues to fascinate and frustrate those who seek the truth. We may never know her real name, but the legend of the Isdal Woman will live on as the greatest mystery of the North. Her legacy is one of intrigue, a ghost story for the modern age that challenges everything we think we know about identity, and the lengths people will go to protect their secrets. Was she a hero, a villain, or just a woman lost in a world that didn't want her to be found? The truth is buried with her, under the cold Norwegian soil, waiting for a day that may never come when the final piece of the puzzle falls into place. For now, she remains the woman from nowhere, a mystery wrapped in an enigma, forever walking the lonely paths of the Isdalen Valley in our collective imagination. Every lead followed, every witness interviewed, and every scientific test performed only adds another layer to the mystery, making the Isdal Woman's secret life one of the most compelling stories ever told.